Do you remember the time when you started feeling weird about the changes in your body? And also took notice of other parts of a person? Like, stuff below...
My eyes are up here, yo.
I was 8 when I first saw Space Jam. There was this character, Lola Bunny. Hard to forget because she's basically Bugs but a girl. But if that movie was released at the same time as the PS1 game Tail Concerto, I would have...
Ooh, she's hot.
Yes, thank you, Tweety. Just want to mention that because this game is rated E. Anyways, some people's furry fetish stems from My Little Pony or Zootopia. For me, I think it was this game. I thought, damn, these cats are really cute. This is Tail Concerto, released in 1998 by CyberConnect, who's also responsible for the Dot Hack games and the recent Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Today they're called CyberConnect 2. Yeah, I've never heard of a game studio having a sequel. I hold this game in my memories quite fondly, and I wonder why. And after replaying it, I have my answer. The game is set in a fantasy world where civilization consists of bipedal dogs and cats. Their homes perch atop floating islands. We play as Waffle, a police dog, as he tracks down a group of feline hooligans known as the Black Cats Gang. We start with a dream showing a crying kitten. A young puppy Waffle comes along to cheer her up by giving her his crystal pendant.
I don't want it.
Okay then.
Well, if you insist, then I guess I'll have to take it.
This endearing scene sets the tone for most of the game. Waffle then wakes up to a beautiful day and is supposed to kickstart his vacation, but suddenly he's called to duty due to an emergency. The Black Cats Gang is harassing the locals, so you're tasked with restoring the peace, which for the most part involves catching the henchmen of the gang, all of which are kittens and none of which are actually black. You control Waffle aboard a police robot. The controls seem straightforward and simple. You go towards the direction you push the D-pad, but just you wait. Pressing square shoots bubbles which serve two main purposes. One is to immobilize kittens for easier capture, which makes sense. The second is as a weapon, like really bubbles to damage stuff. Meanwhile, your enemies fight with bombs and missiles, and it won't take you long to find out that these bubbles suck for fighting. They only shoot straight ahead. You can't angle your shots up or down. And this means having to jump if you want to shoot airborne foes. And even worse, enemies in the air fly higher when they're hit. So yeah, good luck. If you hold the square button, it'll show you a reticle for your shots, but really it's better to just mash and hope that it hits. The bubbles bounce off walls too, so that helps. But then it gets jammed for like 40 minutes after 8 shots, which the game doesn't tell you. It's so bad I thought my controller wasn't working properly. On top of all that, the damage bullets do to bosses is pathetic. Really doing any damage at all is a stretch. So the fastest way to defeat bosses is by throwing stuff at them. The circle button makes use of the arms of the robot to pick up stuff, and this is perhaps the most useful button in the game. It's used to catch kittens and to pick up collectibles and other stuff that can be chucked forward. What's this?
I better not catch you throwing my furniture around.
Lady, this is an emergency and I have a warrant, I think. So the best way to fight is to throw your enemies' explosives right back at them. Though this is also not without its flaws. Holding circle shows the arc of your throw, and pressing L1 and L2 refines the height a little, but still it's mostly a shot in the dark. You have to be at very specific distances for your projectiles to hit their mark. Not a problem for the big bosses, but fat chance for the small enemies. And yeah, it won't take you long to realize that aiming is really difficult. And that's because your number one enemy in the game is the camera. My god, this camera. In summary, it pretty much does what it wants when it feels like it. Making sharp turns is really easy, and it takes like 13 hours to recenter the camera behind you. And since your weapons only fire forward, this becomes a huge issue. Look at this! I just want to see what I'm shooting at! And sometimes it doesn't even recenter at all! I tell you, would it have been too much to ask for a button to recenter the camera, like in Mario 64, which predates this game by 2 years, but somehow got the 3D camera thing right? Hell, there are 3 completely useless buttons in this game. R1 and R2 basically makes you go forward and backward. So yeah, what's the fucking point? We have the D-pad for that, isn't that enough? Oh wait, never mind, R2 is different because it makes you back up instead of turn. Surprise, Waffle doesn't go. And then there's the triangle button. You know what it does? Absolutely fucking nothing. And I'm not kidding, if you go to the options menu, the triangle button is unmapped. Yeah, that's one of the face buttons right there, and it's completely useless. It would have been a good candidate for a function that controls the camera. Ironically, the jetpack level is the most intuitive platforming stage because although your navigation is precarious, the camera stays behind you at all times. Jumping is also a big issue, especially in the later, more difficult stages. Movement starts off at a slow acceleration and jumping retains your momentum. So if you want to make long jumps, you have to get a running start. This mechanic alone made this room a nightmare because the platforms are really small. Oh god, I can't believe that didn't reach. Ooh, that was close. Come on, here we go. Yeah! Oh, what the? And I want to mention the final level of the game. It's basically one big vertical room with floating platforms and a lot of jumps. You make one mistake, you're starting over. Yup, still falling. My god, the underwater slowdown makes this even worse. Thankfully, none of these problems persist with the bosses since the game's always locked onto them. From this perspective, it kind of feels like a boss battle from a Souls game. But yeah, with these controls, playing it can be rough. Now, is there anything that's worth the trouble of going through all this? Well, of course. A lot actually. Namely, the world and its characters. The story revolves around our main character Waffle and Alicia. That's the brown cat at the beginning of the game, but at present is also the leader of the Black Cat gang. There are also more fantastical, bigger-than-life elements of fiction, like the legend of the Iron Giant. No, not that Iron Giant. This Iron Giant has a sword that's staked through one of the floating islands. And an evil influence behind the scenes is trying to bring the legend back to life so that it may destroy the world. We experience a significant amount of this tale through beautifully animated cartoon cutscenes. It serves to bring the characters to life, and it's accompanied by some excellent voice acting.
Hey! You idiot! You got chocolate all over the crystal!
Alicia stands out in particular. Amanda Wynn Lee, who also voiced Yukiko Amagi in Persona 4, delivers Alicia's lines befitting of her tsundere nature.
She must mean a lot to you. What's the big idea, stalking Waffle?
Other notable characters include Princess Teria, royalty to the kingdom and determined to assist Waffle because of a subtle crush.
I saw the three sisters, so I followed them.
We have Cyan, the prideful royal guard that wishes to one-up Waffle, but really it's a one-sided rivalry.
What should I do for a stomachache? Do I apply ice or heat?
And Stare and Flare, two polar opposites when it comes to their personality, yet equally faithful and loyal to their sister Alicia, no matter what.
I don't really dislike them, but Alicia does.
Are you capable of healing her pain?
And of course, there's our leading pair. Waffle is determined to get through his confused childhood friend, and seeing Alicia's character being fleshed out is perhaps one of the most satisfying aspects of the game. I mostly ignore the fact that this is a romance between two different species. The only collectible in the game is the photographs. They can be found off the beaten path, in cleverly inconspicuous corners, along ledges, and also by pelting passing cars with bubbles. Yeah, police business, this is evidence. You may think this is a simple addition, but this feature alone, I think it made the game very rewarding to explore. As such, levels without collectible photos felt weaker in comparison. Once you collect all the pieces of a photograph, they can be viewed back at Waffle's house. And as low the resolution was back then, they're still beautiful to look at today. And how pleasant is that music playing while you're looking at these beautiful photos? While we're at the topic, I'll just say that the soundtrack is okay. Nothing great, but nothing offensive to the ears either. Finally, if there's one thing the game has tons of, it's cute stuff. Aside from the Pris sisters and Princess Teria, we have cats running around, cats in hot air balloons, cats driving drillers, cats on a pushcart being pushed by another cat, cats on ice, walking bombs with smiling faces, homing missiles with smiling faces, drill bits that chase you and can get stuck on the ground, the ostentatious cat face on the vehicles of the gang. Yeah, just take your pick. There's plenty here to endear you. If not, maybe the more vulgar design choices will catch your eye. And that's all I have to say about Tail Concerto. And I conclude that my fondness of this game stems from its tremendous charm. Gameplay-wise, it leaves a lot to be desired, but the story of friendship and benign love presented here is worthy of your time. Too bad it's short. Only 6 to 8 hours long. And sadly, there's no sequel, but there is a spiritual successor released for the Nintendo DS. It's a good game, but it doesn't quite have the charm that Tail Concerto had. And apparently, there was a third game released just last year. Maybe that will also be good? I can hope. But what do you think about it? Maybe I'm taken too easily by the cuteness of this game. Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, why not leave a like? It'll really help me out. Subscribe as well for more gaming and doodling content from me. Thanks for watching. Until next time.